I love these things. I really love doing these type of things. So we'll just get some questions up here, and we'll get into it. Right. So Julia's asking me if Kona's cancelled, is there any chance I'd race the Tour? Well, yeah. I mean, there's a chance. Firstly, to race the Tour, you need to be part of a team that races the Tour, and I'm part of the Ineos team. At the moment, that certainly wasn't planned. Having said that, I was a reserve even before. So, but when I say I was a reserve for the Tour, I'm a reserve for every race, and that's my role in the team, is more to be available, whenever needed. When you have a team of 30 guys, often if someone gets injured or sick and you have to pull someone else from somewhere else, there's quite a trickle-down effect throughout the team. So the idea was with someone like me, because I spend so much time with the guys anyway, we train together every day. There's a bunch of guys here in Andorra, or I'm down in Monaco with the other guys, Chris and G and so forth. And then I'm usually with them when they go to a race. So the Dave Brailsford's theory was, well, gosh, you're usually ready to go, so you may as well be on call for us. So, if I probably, I joke and I say if 20, 25 or 20, 23 guys get sick and injured and can't race, then they'll have to send me to the Tour because they need 8. But that's probably not quite the case. I'll be on the, on one of the, it's not a long reserve list, but there's a few riders on there, and my name will certainly be there. And if something happens last minute at one of the chosen 8, then I'm sure I'll be considered to substitute in. So there's every chance of that. So, and Megan, question here: what do you wish you would have known before your first IM that you know now? You know what? The eating too much. You wait the days leading in and the morning of the race. Like, I would eat for 16 people. I mean, I was carb loading till the cows come home. I should have just been in the paddock with a bunch of cattle, just eating whatever. I had everything in sight, thinking that I needed all that fuel, and I felt terrible that that voyage is so sluggish and cruddy, and the thing was, I'd eaten sort of so much that my body had kind of shut down as far as processing stuff. So then when I finally got going and racing, I actually ended up getting really, really hungry, because I was used to shoving all this food in, and then when you're racing you can't. So it didn't really store in an effective way at all. So that's probably the biggest change that I think I've actually made in racing, to be honest. Physically, of course I've improved, but I've become more adept to it. I've always trained at a pretty high level, but when you rest, those few days leading into the race, when getting closer to the race, then you don't need as much fuel, because you're not training as hard. You should be pretty fit. You should be at the peak of your powers. So if you just eat normally, like you sort of normally would, then that is enough to sort of get you ready to go. And that's been great. I've had no issues since. So yeah, good question. Definitely don't eat too much. Yeah. Here's one from an interesting name. Based on your past rowing experiences, when I say interesting name, there's no actual name, there's a bunch of letters. Based on your past rowing experiences, what muscles do you recommend putting amp lotion on for rowing? And when before and after pieces races would you apply lotion? Any other tips regarding Ironman? Now, I put it all over my whole body before the start. I mean, for the swim, I put it on my pecs, my arms, and obviously my legs, the key muscle groups, particularly the calves, because, once you get into the run, that's sort of one of the things that goes first. Obviously the quads and the hamstrings for the bike. But, yeah, I literally put, my lats, chest, absolutely everywhere for an Ironman before the race. So, and then a big one is my neck, and I've noticed that was one of the things that used to get really sore after an Ironman. I used to get annoyed because I'd get sunburnt, and I used to get annoyed because I'd have a stiff neck from being in the TT position for so long. And putting the cream on my neck has just completely eliminated that. So back to rowing, I would apply it to pretty much your whole body. Your neck, you probably don't need doing a rowing race, but yeah, certainly your quads, your calves. You don't really get much of a burn in your calves. It's been a long time since I rode. Gosh, yeah, lots of years now. 2006 was the last international rowing regatta, so what's that, 15 years. Yeah, definitely, the quads, definitely, your arms. Obviously, I know you want to keep them pretty relaxed. Definitely your lats. Even your butt. I mean, your butt. I don't know how you get lactic acid in your backside in a rowing race, but I remember your butt is just so sore. You just can't wait to get it off the seat at the end. Especially the new cream that's not slippery. With the old stuff, you want to slip off the seat, but with the new stuff, I'd say that. And then post, I use it as a massage oil. I have a massage 3 to 4 times a week, and the end of on my big training days, which is basically every day. And she my massage lady Marie, she uses on my my whole body. So you apply it to the same places. But when I do that as part of a massage after training. So yeah, that would be my tip for rowing. Just to remind anyone that's got questions, just obviously type them in the Q&A section there, and we'll get to them. From Jolene Davis, what are some of your mental strategies you use to motivate yourself when you just don't want to tackle that next workout? I don't get that very often. I love what I do. I really love being active. I love exercise. But one thing, like when you get, when it's hard, you're in an interval and it's a really hard one. You're thinking, gosh, I'm hurting. Is it one of those ones that you shouldn't push through? And then I often say to myself, my coach never said 30 minutes easy. It's 30 minutes, it's only 3 or 30 minutes at threshold or whatever, the combination, 2-hour time trial effort, whatever you're doing, track workout, okay, at, 10 1Ks at whatever pace. I'll always say, he didn't say easy 10 1Ks at whatever pace. It was, it's a workout. It's not meant to be easy. So I guess, yeah, that's one. And you're right, it can be tough because, particularly in triathlon, you got 3 sports, so you do you every day basically you're doing multiple sessions, except maybe the rest day. So it is. That's certainly one thing that I remind myself. I remind myself that the coach never ever puts, when it's a workout day, never ever puts easy. it's always an effort. It's not meant to be easy. And then so Julio. The benefits of training on your road bike versus your tri bike. Yeah, well, I think it's pretty common knowledge. I don't spend a lot of time on my tri bike, probably once a week, once every 10 days, even once every 2 weeks. So, I find on the road bike you're in a much stronger position. You're much more comfortable, so you're more likely to do better quality of work and be able to spend more time on it. But more importantly, better quality of work. The muscle groups are obviously very similar. Not exactly the same, but you just really then need to do enough on your tri bike to make sure that those other little extra muscles that you use on that you don't necessarily use on your road bike are activated, and it's not a shock to them when you get on your tri bike, come race day. So and also those muscles tend to be weaker. So I have actually tried it. I did spend weeks and weeks and weeks on my tri bike at one point. I think up to like 4 weeks, and I actually got weaker significantly. And it's the only, sort of the only time that sort of really happens. So we're like, well, that doesn't work for me. It could be different for everyone else. I mean, obviously I come from a very different background, being rowing and then obviously, racing in the World Tour before and now here. But I find that, on the road bike, you just have much better quality of training, and the tri bike, you just need to sort of, activate those extra muscles, and I think you can end up being, much stronger for the bike, which in turn obviously allows you to be fresher and better for the run, which is the most important thing. So we've got one here from an anonymous attendee. how much time per week do you spend training different energy systems? Max power, threshold, easy endurance, sweet spot, etc. On the bike, especially during this time of holding pattern. Right. Holding pattern, I wouldn't call it that. I said to my coach, when this all happened, that it doesn't matter the situation, especially when there's something a little bit off. You got to find a way to improve and come out better from this. So I'd say in this period, I've actually trained much harder than I normally would on the bike, but probably particularly at the upper end, max speed, max power, sort of high end stuff. That was something that we noticed, particularly when I went back to racing on the road, that I was really deficient in, to the extent we hadn't realised, because I'd done so much training with the guys over the past few years, which would have indicated that I was sort of fine with all that. But we don't do a lot of that in training. I guess it's more, more of your threshold endurance sort of style work, because they go off and do the racing to get that adaptation, and I was missing that. So, the first couple of races this year, I really hurt more than I could have ever imagined. But the last race I did in Algarve, every day got better, and to the point where by the last road stage, I was, much closer to the front than the back. In fact, I finished with Matthew van der Poel, which was interesting considering we're both converts from other sports. So as far as time per week, all right, I can't really calculate that off the top of my head, but I'd have to say that in the last 8 weeks I've spent probably 10% of the time on max power, if that works. Haven't done much threshold at all. We've done a couple of races. I've done probably 70, 80% of easy endurance maybe, and then quite a lot of stuff in sweet spot. That could be a term, where it's sort of uncomfortably comfortable, if that makes sense. Haven't done really focused on that top end in the last in this period, so which has been great. It's been a great opportunity to work on that, because it's something I haven't worked on for about 5-6 years since I last raced in the World Tour. Rob Layer, I know you have a child on the way. Congratulations to you and your family. Do you think being a dad will change your training schedule? I do. I definitely do, because I've always, it seems that everyone that has children, they perform better. And I've certainly seen, different my mates deal with it differently. All the guys I'm racing with have all got kids. Geraint was the most recent to have one. Richie Ford had one last year. Obviously, Chris has got a couple. I've always said I'm pretty confident that I'll improve as an athlete when I have a child. First, you've got the responsibility of you've now got a human that's dependent on you, as a small human that can't fend for themselves. I mean, my wife is very self-sufficient. She doesn't need me, so she's very confident in her own right, and would be just fine if I wasn't around. So, but this little guy, you've got to look after him. He's your responsibility. So I'm really relishing the prospect of that. And if he's a nuisance, well, I'll train a lot more because I just won't be home. So so I'm pretty confident that my training will definitely step up a notch, whichever way it works out with how he is. Thanks everyone for joining in, and if you'd like, I guess we could do another one, and I'll try and brush up my own knowledge of myself, so I've got some better answers for next time. So thanks very much. Have a great day. See ya.